All right, today we're diving into a really fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty wild system for unlocking the hidden potential of your mind. It's called the Silva method, and it came from one of the most unlikely people you could ever imagine. And this quote from the founder, José Silva, pretty much sums up his entire life's mission. He looked at the human mind and didn't see some great mystery. Nope, he saw an incredible tool that most of us just, well, we never got the instruction manual. So he decided he was going to write one. So picture this. It's the 1940s in Laredo, Texas. Our guy, José Silva, isn't a brain surgeon or a psychologist. He's an electronics repairman. And he used what he knew, specifically Ohm's law, as a kind of blueprint for the brain. His big idea was simple, really. In a circuit, if you lower the resistance, you get more power. He thought, what if stress is the resistance in our minds? Lower that and you could unleash its true power. Now, you'd think he'd be trying to change the world or something, but his original goal was actually super down to earth. He wasn't trying to develop psychic powers. He was just a dad who wanted to help his kids do better in school by teaching them how to relax when they studied. That's it. And this is where the story takes a hard left turn. One day, he's reading lessons to his daughter, Isabel, and she starts answering questions that he had only thought about asking. He was floored. I mean, can you imagine? What started as a simple memory experiment suddenly exploded into a deep dive into intuition, clairvoyance, getting information from somewhere beyond our normal senses, and what he believed was the untapped psychic power of the mind. Now, what's really interesting is how Silva tried to explain all this. He didn't see it as magic or anything supernatural. He saw it as science. He built his entire system around the idea of brainwaves, which back then we were just starting to understand. Okay, so his whole method is built around these 4 brainwave states. Most of our day, we're in beta. That's our busy, logical, often stressed out mind, right? But Silva believed the real magic, the sweet spot for creativity, intuition, and learning, was the alpha state. The entire goal of his method is to teach you how to get into this alpha state whenever you want, and actually use it. And this is the absolute key. This isn't about emptying your mind or just chilling out. Silva called it dynamic meditation because you're actively using your mind while you're in this super relaxed, super powerful alpha state. It's not about zoning out, it's about zoning in. Okay, so that's the big idea. But how do you actually do this? How do you get to alpha and make it work for you? Well, Silva came up with a set of specific, almost programmable techniques. Let's look at 3 of the biggest tools in his toolkit. First, you need a way in. The 3-2-1 method is basically a mental countdown that you use to condition yourself. You practice it over and over, and it trains your brain to quickly shift gears from that busy beta state down into the calm, creative alpha state, just like that. So once you're in alpha, you need a mental workshop, right? A place to get stuff done. That's the 3 scenes technique. First, you vividly picture the problem exactly as it is now. Then you picture yourself taking the exact steps to solve it. And finally, and this is the most important part, you see the problem as completely solved and you feel all the amazing emotions of that success. It's like a full dress rehearsal for a win. And then there's a tool to bring this power into your everyday life, the 3 fingers technique. Think of it like a mental shortcut. While you're in that deep alpha state, you repeatedly touch your thumb to your first 2 fingers. You're creating a physical trigger, an anchor. The idea is that later, whenever you need it, before a big presentation, during a tough conversation, you can just touch those fingers together and instantly tap back into that calm, focused state. And believe it or not, these techniques have had a huge impact. Tennis star Bianca Andreescu famously used the 3 scenes technique to visualize her entire US Open victory before it happened. And decades before that, the author Richard Bach said it was a Silva class that gave him the breakthrough he needed to finally finish his classic book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. So that brings us to the million-dollar question that hangs over all of this. Does any of it actually work? I mean, this whole thing blew up right in the middle of the human potential movement, a time when everyone was searching for ways to unlock their inner powers. It was kind of the perfect storm of hope and controversy. On one side, you have these just incredible claims. We're not just talking about better problem solving. We're talking about raising your IQ, controlling pain with your mind using techniques like glove anesthesia, where you literally visualize your hand going numb and then move that numbness to somewhere that hurts. And of course, the big one, developing ESP, extrasensory perception, for things like diagnosing illnesses from a distance.
But on the other side, the skeptics have some pretty grounded explanations. They say, sure, it works, but it's probably the placebo effect, or that it's just a form of mental rehearsal that athletes have used for years. That three fingers technique, that looks a whole lot like anchoring from NLP. And they'll point out that a lot of its science, like the whole left brain/right brain thing, is now seen by neuroscientists as a huge oversimplification.
And some critics are, well, they're a lot more blunt about it. The legendary skeptic James Randi had zero patience for the method's paranormal claims, especially the psychic diagnosis stuff. He basically called it pseudoscience, nothing more than a trap to take money from people who wanted to believe. So at the end of the day, the Silva method, whether you think it's revolutionary or ridiculous, it really forces us to ask a huge question about what our own minds really are. Is the mind some kind of psychic antenna able to tune into information from beyond our five senses? Or is it more like an unbelievably powerful computer? And José Silva, the electronics repairman, just happened to stumble upon a brilliant way to start programming it. And that's the question the Silva method still asks us today.